inviting you to Untengle. We are just about ready now to join the public defender. Good morning.
Hi, morning.
Morning. All's well?
All is very well, thank you. I trust the same is for you.
Yes, it is. Give thanks for asking.
Good.
See? All
Very
right.
good.
So we spoke last week at length about
So
the...
before you go there, Mr. Mackenzie
Yes?
is with us today.
Okay.
That is Herbert Mackenzie, Deputy Public Defender.
Okay.
And do you have Mr. Victor Hemmings, our Special Projects Manager?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, wonderful, Victor. Okay, we're good to go now.
Okay, so last week we spoke at length about the disaster risk management and the high fines being imposed for breaches of the Act. So what is the public defender's position, for those who didn't hear the last time? What is your position on this?
I think that my position is clear. In fact, last week I did not use the word high fines. I said that they were excessively oppressive. And that's a position from last week to this week and going forward. Our position is very clear on the matter. Last week we went through aspects of the law on the Disaster Risk Management Act.
Right.
And also the failure of Parliament to have introduced legislation to allow for ticketing that has resulted in this sort of catastrophic burden placed on the Jamaican people, leading to confrontation, unnecessary confrontations, I would say,
Yes.
between the public and the police. But we haven't changed our position on that.
Okay.
And I think Mr. Mackenzie may wish to add a few words, or Victor also, on the Disaster Risk Management Act.
Okay, let's hear from his Deputy Public Defender, right? Let us hear from Mr. Mackenzie. Good morning, Mr. Mackenzie.
Morning, how are you doing? The $200,000 fine imposed by the magistrate, in as much as it would appear to be excessive, the point is the magistrate has jurisdiction to do that, because the magistrate cannot function under the act itself, which gives him or her jurisdiction to impose up to $1 million. There's a proposed schedule of fines for offences committed under the Disaster Risk Management Act. Those schedule of fines, while they are there, they have not yet been gazetted into law. That being the case, the magistrate cannot countenance them at all. His or her hands are tied by the section of the Disaster Risk Management Act, which gives her the jurisdiction up to $1 million. Now, insofar as the 200,000 are concerned, those fines are going to be peculiar, oppressive as they may be, to the defendants who came before him or her under the particular circumstances. We don't know the story behind it. We don't know if they're actually in the fines, they're repeated offenders, they're offenders who have been warned. We don't know what they said, if there was any remorse before the magistrate. We don't know. Then they are heavy, because some of those people are people who are probably on minimum wages, and it will take them quite a bit of time to come with that fine. In fact, we understand that in one case, one of the persons had to go and actually source a loan. We don't know if that is true. We also don't know if anybody on their behalf or on the behalf of the person who was fined had applied for time to pay, because that can happen too. The magistrate impose a fine on you. You can give you a month to pay, a week to pay, 21 days to pay. The point I'm making, the circumstance of the particular case, we don't know.
Okay.
We just know that for people, a fine of $400,000 is high, but it is within the jurisdiction of the court to so impose.
I get that. But having if someone does not have the ability to pay or to take out a loan to pay, then what?
You can apply to pay. The magistrate has authority as the jurisdiction to give you time to pay.
Okay.
And let's use the 200,000 as an example. The magistrate can say to you, Miss Kelly, we're imposing a fine of $200,000 on you.
Use somebody else's name for me, please.
Probably I should. A fine of $200,000. Are you to pay everything one time? How much time do you want to pay? If it's that time, of course, the magistrate is not going to give you 10, 12 years to pay because of the mortgage. And you, within a reasonable time, you go and pay. Of course, if you don't pay it, they can take you in. Again, because you are in default of the payment. But the person can also go back to court and ask for extension of the time to pay. These are not things to actually send you behind bars. These are fines to deter you from breaching the protocols that are going to be in place to prevent the spreading of this disease.
Okay. So a lot is really left to the discretion of the Magistrate, I'm sorry. Magistrate.
The parish court judge.
But the people going before the court should also ask for time to pay because there's no obligation on the magistrate to ask you for time to pay. She imposed the fine. You can't pay or you have a difficulty paying. The obligation is on you to ask for some time to pay.
But I would want to add, it is not everyone who knows to say to the parish court
precisely.
Judge, I do not have the money.
Absolutely.
I need time to pay. Plus, one has to consider that many persons may be earning minimum wage. Some are unemployed. Some are unemployable. Where are they going to get the $200,000 from? Invariably, it seems to me, many of them will just stay in custody because it's normally a fine or like 30 days at hard labor. It seems it's normally a fine or a custodial. It's normally
a fine. If you can't pay the fine,
then you have to serve time.
In default of payment of the fine, you serve time.
And the court system is already blocked up. The prison them already full up. And I mean, I'm not trying to minimize the fact that you don't have on a mask, but it's still a mask. When crime is just so rampant, you know.
No, we don't agree with you when you say it's still a mask. We believe that mask wearing is critical in trying to control the spread of the coronavirus.
I agree. Not minimalizing it.
Right. So we believe that people need to adhere and strictly adhere to the wearing of the mask. But whilst we don't know the specific circumstances of each case that went before the court, $200,000 appears to be excessively high. You know, and really the solution to this is to gazette the schedule of penalties and fines. That is the solution, to gazette it, because the specific offenses, like not wearing the mask and so on, is not found within the body of the Disaster Risk Management Act. But the schedule of offenses has to be gazetted for it now to be enforceable, and the parish court judge would look at it and says, okay, $5,000 for a man, or whatever.
Okay, all right, I get you, loud and clear. Okay, let's move on because we're I think we've got that.
Good. Forgive me.
All right, so
okay.
I don't know who will deal with this question, but the fact that the public is still outraged over the delay of the Independent Commission of Investigations to announce its findings in the case involving Nzinga King, or perhaps Mr. Hemmings will address that. Talk to us about that.
Before Mr. Hemmings come in, can I just say something on that?
Sure.
Is a commission of parliament, like the public defender is. We can't fetter them, we can't limit them, and we can't dictate to them how fast they advance their investigation in the same way that they can't do it to us. As we understand it, their investigation and the release of the report is a process. It has to go through that process. They have a legal department that has to vet the whole report, and they have to dot all their I's and cross all their T's. We sympathize with them, and to that extent, we offer no criticism to what is perceived as a delay in coming up with their report. One thing before Mr. Hemmings comment is that you don't want the report to be generated, publicized, and then indicum based upon things that have been said, found, or recorded. Indicum find themselves in a position but they have to be walking back certain aspects of their report. So I know the Income Commissioner is a man who is keen on details, is meticulous, and I think to that extent, he's seeking to ensure that all his dots are in order before he releases.
Okay, fine. But your office would have done your own investigations, right?
We're well in our process of doing that. We have come upon some little blocks, but we're well in the process of doing that. And our report are in advanced stage of being written now, waiting on a couple responses from a couple more entities before we actually release.
So you would have to wait on any particular office before you release your findings?
No, we're
not waiting on any offices. We're waiting for further information. In addition to which, we do not resile from our intention to institute criminal prosecution against police officers out in the parish of Clarendon who obstructed us in the performance of our lawful statutory functions. That our report cannot be completed until we get access to the Four Parts police station. Now, I will tell you this. I certainly intend to make another visit out there because the evidence that we have collected thus far leads us to the conclusion that it is critical to know the physical layout of the Four Parts cell area, guard room, police offices, which officer was stationed where, and so on. So whilst we're acutely aware of the fact that this young girl's hair and the allegations surrounding it is a matter of public interest and has to be. We and let me say I in this because we may have varying opinions. We have a small investigative team here compared with others who would have 25 to 30. And we work with our small investigative team, and we have reached a good way in our investigation and the collation of data. So we are, and it is known, and I've said it, we're behind Indicom in where they have reached. But happily, they have an investigative team of about 25 to 30 investigators, plus they have a legal department. Mr. Mackenzie and I are the legal department here. And Mr. Mackenzie and I also have to join the investigative team to be able to do the work. So we just give you that as a comparison of our travails. But I will tell you, notwithstanding, the report will be ready.
That's what the public wants to hear. We understand the constraints, but we still really, the public really, who doesn't want to know? So I'm happy that you have reached that far, and we anxiously await your report.
Good.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
One of the things I wanted to raise, though, a matter that has caused us serious concerns. The Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms guarantees to every child in Jamaica, every child who is a citizen, that is, to publicly funded tuition in a public educational institution at pre-primary and primary levels. Now, our understanding of that right is that it is not the publicly funded aspect of it that is primary in the formulation of that right, but that children are entitled to a reasonable standard of education. And we sit here sometimes and, we read the news every day, we know what is happening. And we ask the question, how many of our children at pre-primary and primary levels now have a tablet or some device, one device to one child? How many of them? I mean, it is almost 2 years now that we have been in the pandemic. We have seen that many children have either been, I don't want to use the word forgotten, left behind in their education. We see the expenditure of vast sums of money, and I'm talking about what has been coming out in the Ministry of Education without going into any details, because those are matters being investigated elsewhere. But the way we at the Public Defender's Office look at it is that we look at it, these expenditures in which we are now investigating, this sum of money, that sum of money, this event, and so on. We look at it against the state's obligation to provide a reasonable quality and standard of education for our children. And we are of the view that we are failing in this area.
You know something, while you get your facts together and while we wait on the report, we still have our views because we are, part of the society. And it is very clear to me that many children are being displaced, and it is, the devil find work for idle hands,
All the time. All the time he finds. And it concerns us because, a tablet is what you'd call it now, everyday tool in today's kind of world. Yep. From children, these are necessary tools.
Yep.
We see that some were given out and there was announcements and traveling around the country, limited amounts given out to our children population. Concerns us deeply, I tell you.
It should.
That our children are being left behind.
It should.
Those children who don't have parents with the resources to arrange private tutoring, etc. It is
frightening.
Beyond troublesome.
Yes. And we worry about us going back to the days where education is becoming a privilege.
Absolutely. We were reaching a stage where we saw more and more primary schools come in to the fore with children doing exceptionally well.
So true.
And then we have this major setback.
Yep.
And then we see all sorts of things happening in the Ministry of Education, and I made the comment on it because we humbly submit that it impacts the rights of our children in this country.
Okay.
And these are our constitutionally guaranteed rights.
Yep. Okay, I'm getting the wind-up signal, but there is next week, Thursday, for us to continue this conversation or others. And I thank you very much, ma'am, for your time.
All the very best. Good talking to you.
Same to you. And thank you also, Deputy Public Defender, Mr. Herbert McKenzie. You were listening a while ago to Arlene Harrison Henry, who is the Public Defender. So we see you or hear from you next week, Thursday. So we have live online Jahvoughn Francis. Good morning, Javon.
Good morning, Mama Elise. How are you doing?
I am very well. How are you?
I'm elated. I'm excited.
So am I. Okay, so let us start from the very top. You are from the community of Marverly in St. Andrew. Tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit more about your community.
All right. Well, I would say that, Javon is an intrinsically passionate young man. I love growth, whether it be a team-based growth or individual growth. I love striving for greatness, and I believe that it is my inherent responsibility to impact the lives of others in a positive way as best as I can. A little bit about my community. I believe it is, well, Marverly, in particular, is a hub of greatness. I believe, I've been inspired by just everyone there. I see the entrepreneur, I see the doctor, the lawyer, all in perspective of kids who are beaming with greatness and potential, ready to be, exploited. Yes, a really fun community, one that fosters the development of young men like myself.
Hold on,
You know,
Javon. What you said a while ago. Your community has a set of youths who are beaming and excited, but you see that they're going to be exploited.
well, I'm saying that no, I'm saying that I can see that their talent, their potential will be exploited, and that's where youth like myself come in,
Right.
just to help them to channel their potential in the right way.
Right.
One such example of one was, being a beacon in the community is Roger Clark, otherwise known as Swiss Lee. I mean, he is a comedian and he has paved the way for so many other comedians in the community, you know. So,
Okay. All right,
yeah, man.
great. Okay, fine. What are some of the challenges that your community faces?
All right. So, one such challenge, I would say, is the detachment between the generations. So, for example, I've seen where my generation is not connected with the generation that comes after myself. And when I say that, I mean that I can see where there's not a level of respect between the two groups because they don't see where we are investing in them or even building a relationship with them. Because we just say, all right, go and do this, and then they'll say that is dictatorship, right? Now, what I've realized is that in order for us to influence them, we need to build a relationship, which is the core of influence, a relationship, and that's where I have decided, along with my friends, that we need to set the right examples for these youth. First, by educating them, showing them that we believe in them, and just helping them across the line, the finish line. You know,
Javon, I'm looking at you and you look like one of them. You look pretty young to me.
I am. But I've realized that there is a need for good examples,
Yes.
even if we are young.
Yes, absolutely. All right. COVID-19 continues to challenge many students in communities across Jamaica. In fact, in communities over the world. And actually,
Yeah.
the public defender alluded to it in our conversation today. And you have risen to this challenge by teaching youth in your community. First question, what motivated you to even start?
Well, it's a funny story. Just to go back to my childhood, I believe I am the product of a perfectly balanced parenting. And when I say that, I mean that my mother was a major facilitator of my educational prowess. She was a disciplinarian. She ensured that I understood the importance of education at a tender age, and she reinforced the values needed to, become educated as a youth. Now, my father, on the other hand, he was well educated also, but he ensured that I had enough play to create that balance, that every child needs. Now, I realized the significance of education at a tender age. And contrary, I realized how impactful it can be when one is deprived of an educational opportunity. Because I had a cousin who he didn't have the opportunities I had to become all that I am and all that I've achieved educationally, and he has and what that did for him was that it didn't give him an opportunity to be the best of himself. Because this man was much brighter than I was at the moment, but he didn't get an opportunity to express that brilliance. Now he turned to crime. Not saying that because he wasn't educated, that's the reason why he turned to crime. But had he been educated, I believe that he would have cherished education as a way of achievement and as a way of identifying himself, in his world.
Yes.
So I realize the importance of education, and once the parents or leaders emphasize on that importance, and once they help the youth to understand the importance, then, we are looking at a generation to come, a generation of brilliance.
Well said. Very well said. Okay, so you actually started this program that you have in your community with 3 children. Before I even ask you about the 3 children and how that started, you mentioned parenting, and it is so very important. You said that your cousin perhaps was brighter than you, but because of that lack of parenting, he fell by the wayside, and there are so many others that have that experience, unfortunately. So what about parenting in your community? How have the parents been supporting your endeavor of volunteerism?
Well, to be honest, I've received so much help in terms of, just helping the kids to learn, because the parents would provide me with the necessary facilities, which can be identified as food, the shed, what else I would say, chairs, desk, and any little thing that I would need to, facilitate the education and development of the youth. And I would like to say that it's a holistic development, because, we have to mix the spiritual with the academic and also ethics. So, the parents come into play where that is concerned. They really support them. They really do support the movement.
Holistic development. So true. All right. So let us talk about your first session with the 3. How that went.
Well, looking back now, I'm just in that emotional phase where I can just remember teaching just 3 kids and just being elated, just being excited, just feeling that thrill of having influence over 3 young lives. I mean, I don't remember exactly what the lesson was at the time, but what I can say, I know that the children went and told their parents that, listen, mommy and daddy, we want to go back to class tomorrow. So, and then what is even greater was the fact that they regurgitated the lessons that I taught them without even me, thinking they would have. So, I realized that they were learning. And they had this passion, this zeal for learning. It's like they wanted to come to class. Even when I was really tired, exhausted, they were like, sir, class done already? Sir, class really done already? And I'm like, I've never seen kids, like this before. So it clearly, it was clear to me that these kids were interested in school.
Contrary to how a lot of people think, something though, Javon, is I'm just loving to hear you say that, because there are a lot of people who are of the opinion that children are not interested. And it goes to show that if you create that excitement and that desire, they will be not only just interested, but they will start to insist that you do more for them.
Exactly. And, it's been a learning experience, Mama Elise. I've realized that once kids see that, you are interested in their well-being, once they realize that they will make an effort, and once you put things in a way that, they can understand and, will excite them, they will make an effort to learn. Absolutely. They will be engaged.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let us talk about financial constraints and learning. It's interesting that although financial constraints forced you to discontinue your degree course, you have what I would call, you flip the script. And you are now motivating young people to strive for academic excellence. You mentioned how excited they are to actually pursue academic excellence, but a lot of children in many communities, and I'm sure in your community also, has a challenge. They have a challenge of financial constraints. How do you overcome that challenge?
All right. Well, and Mama Elise, you have really hit the nail on the head there. But what I believe, I'll state this quote. I believe wholeheartedly that beautiful things can be birthed by hard places because tree grow from rocks too. And what I continue to tell these kids is that you must remain hopeful. I understand that our parents may be experiencing financial constraints, and of course, that is the case in the ghetto. But I must admit that I've received a lot of help, especially from Sagicor, who awarded me this year, really the Sagicor Community Hero Award. So there are institutions that are out there that are willing to help ghetto youth, unsung heroes like myself.
Congrats.
It's just a case of discovering them and gaining access to them,
Congrats on your award.
Yeah, man, thanks for my release.
All right, so, let us talk about Javon, the aspiring author. Tell us a little bit about that.
All right, so Mama, it's a quite a story, I never saw myself as an author. I always envisioned, playing football at the highest level. And in fact, football was the means of me communicating with my dad. Because my dad passed, when I was 11 years old. And I feel that was the connection between him and I, So I've always seen myself as a footballer. And I remember just after the Manning Cup season, just after my last Manning Cup season, which was also my first at George's, I said to God, Father, if you don't want me playing football, let me be injured. Not knowing the implications of what I was saying.
Oh my
right
goodness.
After that season, I was injured. And I was like, God, is this really you?
Did I really ask you to do that?
Yeah, man, did I really ask for that? And I was not ready for the implications of him rendering those actions. I was like, no, man, this can't be real, because I couldn't see myself doing anything else other than playing football. And what I did was lean into, just the promises of God, that He will never leave me or forsake me, and that His plans was greater than mine. And what I realized is that I developed a love for expressing myself and expressing my pain through writing. It was a means of escape. It was a means of communicating my emotions in a positive way. And so I started writing poems. I remember that I recently got over my father's death, like about a decade after he died. And I just put ink to paper, releasing my pain. Whatever emotion I was feeling, I would just write about it. And so after showing my family and friends, they saw a talent in me. They recognized that I was talented, I was gifted. And so I decided that, what? I'm going to make use of this gift.
Wow. So let me ask you this now. How close are you to reaching that goal of being an author?
Mama, honestly, I'm so close. And
Really nice.
Yeah, so I'm about to publish this book, if it's God's will, in January, on January the 29th. That's my birthday.
Okay.
I've actually finished the manuscript, so it's in editing right now, right? So, yeah, man, everything is going according to plan.
So it's a book of poems?
Yeah, book of poems, and it's called Voices of My Soul, which is a compilation of truth, that we all should embrace. So you have the voice of you have the voice of love, you have the voice of spirituality, you have the voice of wisdom, So yeah, man.
Wow. I love your spirituality. You're obviously very strong that way. And I'm just hoping that you can pass on spirituality to some of the children that you're actually teaching.
Yeah, man, Mama Elise.
All right. So, and the last thing that I have to say is that I would love a copy of your book. And if you actually record any of the poems, you realize that I love to play poetry on my program. So I would love to have a copy of any recordings of any of your poetry.
Yeah, man, Mama Elise. Definitely we'll have them sent to you,
And congrats again on your award, and continue to have that spirit of volunteerism and that kind heart, because that's what the world needs now more than ever.
Yes, Mama Elise. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've been impacted by your light, over the years, Mama Elise,
Really?
Just to hear your voice, may I tell you, it really brings a light from within. May I tell you, man, Mama.
Thank you so very much for saying that. And we will continue to inspire each other.
Yes, Mama Elise.
Wonderful talking to you. Absolutely a privilege talking to you. So we look forward to doing it again. And the next time perhaps we will speak is when the book comes out.
All right, Mama. Yes, definitely.
All right. All right. Have a great day. And say hello to all the children for me and the community of Marverly.
All right, Mama. Will do.
Okay. All right. Beautiful. Isn't that wonderful? There's so many young people on this island that we need to talk to. You know, we talk it all the time that the kind of people who are getting a lot of press and attention really don't deserve it. These are the young people who deserve the kind of attention that they should be getting. So congrats again, my son, and, you know, continue to do it. So my listeners loving the interview. Amazing young man. And there's so many more. We really got to highlight these amazing, particularly young people. Young people being ignored, Bridget. I mean, an idiot thing, you know. Or you have to ignore young people and them are the future. What you say? People's choice. Oh, yeah. Morning Nubian, parked on the bridge from 10 o'clock. You know where you go. You say, parked on the bridge from 10 o'clock, so I hope I don't get no ticket. I'm telling you, really full joy in your return. Javon is a very inspiring and educated, spiritual young man. Looking forward to great things from him. Oh, it's my sister Della. Good morning, Nubian. I know you won't get a ticket. Oh, no. The police will just look at you and say, what a beautiful lady. I can't give her a ticket, right? We hope. We certainly hope. And I heard something from my sister, another sister. Oh, she's loving the Richie Spice, my Nubian sister Tanya. You have yourself a wonderful day or the rest of the day. I know you're busy working, but hey, we can still do what we have to do, don't it? Yeah, man. Bless up on yourself, man. Once again, we want to say thank you so very much for joining us on the Bridge 99 FM. And thanks for untangling with me. So we do this again, most high willing, on Tuesday next. And we start from 10 o'clock in the morning, right after Richie B. Richie B, you're supposed to be having a wonderful afternoon here now. You have a wonderful afternoon, Richie B. And guess who is waiting in the wings? Ay, 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 my beautiful sister Nikki Z. She's waiting in the wings. I'm leaving you with a quotation. And the quotation that we're leaving you with is this one. And it says, life is too short to let fear make big decisions for you. You can't make fear make your decisions for you. See? Life too short for that.